That was an interesting story, Elazar. You're on mute. I can't hear you.
Second World War, my parents housed over the period of the war, 5 years, they must house 10,000 soldiers came through the house. Pesach, Yom Tov, during the week, every Shabbos from Fort Lewis. They had a place to have a meal for Shabbos and go back.
You should write it up. Send it in the Mishpacha. It's really interesting.
Nice, yeah, nice story. You have pictures? Do you have any pictures from then? You have
I do,
photographs?
so, yeah, we do. I think so. We had some. We had two family, two soldiers. They never knew they were cousins. They never had met before. They met in the house, realizing they were cousins. Wow. They all went over to Japan, Philippines. That's where these from. They jumped off from the.
Did they survive?
Almost all of them did. Yeah, almost all of them did. Yeah, and they remember some soldiers brought me back bayonets. So we had. I was little kids. I used to have so many souvenirs from Japanese. I remember some bayonets and some all kinds of stuff. Second World War. Yeah.
Okay. We are on Daf Tez. From where do we see that you cannot mix simchas? T'chsiv, Vayash Shlomo ba'yetahi et hachag. This was when Shlomo Melech finished the Beis Hamikdash. They were going to celebrate Sukkot. V'chol Yisrael imo kal gadol milavo chamat adachol Mitzrayim. All the Jewish people gathered. Lifnei Hashem Elokeinu, Shivas Yomim v'Shivas Yomim arba asar yom. 7 days before Sukkot and the 7 days of Sukkot. V'misa demarvin simcha b'simcha ibada leminter ad echad. If you could mix simcha b'simcha, he should have delayed the simcha until Sukkot. The 7 days of Sukkot would be 7 days of Yontif and 7 days of the simcha of the completion of the Beis Hamikdash. So the fact that they did Shiva Yomim and Shiva Yomim implies that Ein Ma'arvin Simcha b'Simcha, that's the source. V'dilma minter lo natrinon. But v'hecha disrami avdinon. If it happens, that means when you can, Shlomo Melech had the ability to arrange this. But let's say it just happens, 2 smochos happen on the same day, maybe we can do it. So Gemara says, Iboyle l'shiyur porta. Well, then he would have had to leave a little bit of building for Chol HaMoed to complete it in Chol HaMoed. But Shayur B'nai Beis Hamikdash lo misharinon. But for B'nai Beis Hamikdash, you can't delay. For the Gemara, what do you mean? But he boiled the Shayur B'ama Kaya Oirev. They used to put these ravens on top of the Beis Hamikdash to scare away other birds. And L'chora, maybe they could have done that Chol HaMoed. So the Gemara says that's not. They couldn't delay that either because Kal the proof is in the Psukim. Michli ksiv arbasar yom, shivas yom v'shivas yom alamali shmamina hani l'chud v'ani l'chud. The Torah could have just said 14 days. The fact that it said 7 days, mashma that you got to separate them. Now, those of you who were calculating internally in your heads were thinking, if 7 days before Sukkot they had a Yontif, well, 5 days before Sukkot is Yom Kippur. What happened about Yom Kippur? So Amrav Parnach, Amrav Yechlin, Oysa Shana Lo Asu Yisrael Yom Kippurim. That year, Klal Yisrael didn't fast on Yom Kippur. V'hayudagim v'omrim. But people would worry, you know what? Maybe because of this, we're going to be destroyed. Heavenly voice came out and said, you're all invited to Olam Haba. My Darush. Now, what was the drasha that they made that lechatchila they could override Yom Kippur and have a party? Amru, kavachoyim, uma mishkan shein kedusha so kedusha soilam. The traveling mishkan in the midbar was not the permanent kedusha; it was just temporary. Ve'korban yachid doicha Shabbos, the Isser Skila. Now, all the Nesiim brought korbanos. Nachshon ben Aminadav Yom Rishon. Asniya, the other, that's the son of Ben Suar Yom Sheni. Now, these were private korbanos. And they declared that it was Doicha Shabbos. Normally, a korban yachid is not Doicha Shabbos. We don't bring a private korban Shabbos. We bring the Ola Satami, the Tzibur Dika korbanos, but not a korban yachid. But the decision was that a korban yachid could be doicha Shabbos, and even though Shabbos, the Isser Skila, if you violate an avoda on Shabbos, you get stoned. It's capital punishment. Migdash, the kedushas to kedushas oila. The base of Migdash was kedushas forever. The korban sibur. And during the Chanukah Hamikdash by Shlomo Melech, they were korbanei tzibur. The Yom Kippurim, which is only onush kares, not skila, lo kol shekain, then it should be doicha. Ela mai hayu doyakim. So why were they concerned if they had a kavachomer? Hasam tzarech kavoya. Over there by the Mishkan, the Chanukah Hamizbeach, Chanukah Mishkan was all Kodesh Baruch Hu. Here there were parties. So maybe that's why they were worried. Where it says, Hachanami Mevid Lavdu, Mechaloi Nechlu V'Ladishtu. Fine. Let them have a party and offer korbanos, but let them not eat or drink. And for the Gemara in Simcha B'Lo Achilu Shasi, what kind of party can you have without drinking and eating? Umishkan Dedachi Shabbos Minolan. Where was the proof that the various Nesiim, their korban yachid could be doicha Shabbos? Well, it goes through Bayom Harishon, Bayom Hasheni, Bayom Hashlishi, up until Bayom Shnei Masar. So there's 12 days. You can't go through 12 days and not go through Shabbos. So the Gemara says, well, who says maybe Dilma Shvila Korbanos? Maybe if the guy who brought the 6th korbanos was Friday, the next guy brought it Sunday. Where's the proof that it was brought on Shabbos? Ma yom kulo rotzuf. A day is a complete day. That's why it repeats biyom asar yom. Afashte asar kulon ritzufim. The 11 days were all 11 consecutive days. You can't have 11 days without a Shabbos. Yeah, but maybe the 11 days, it's 11 days that are roy, excluding Shabbos, which is not roy. Ksiv krachrina. There's another pasuk. B'yom shnei masar yom. Ma yom kula rotzuf av shnei masar yom kula ritzufim. Maybe you'll answer the same thing there. It's 12 days, but the days have to be roy. Im kain trei krai lamali. Well, then why would I need 2 psukim? Yom ashtei asar yom and also B'yom shnei masar yom. One of them is to teach me that the days were all consecutive, including Shabbos. Okay. Freit the Gemara Migdash to Doicha Yom Kippur Minala. Where do you see that the building of the base of Migdash would be Doicha Yom Kippur? Ilem Milchiv Arbasar Yom, because it says 14 days. Again, V'dilma Yom Maruyin. Maybe it wasn't Shabbos. Gomer Yom Yomei Hasam. They learned a drasha yom from the Mishkan, that Madach over there was Shabbos, here also was Shabbos. How do you know that they were forgiven? This is a haftarah we read on Shmini Atzeres. On the 8th day, Shlomo Melech sent the people home. They gave a blessing to the Melech. Vayelchu lo lechem smechim v'tovei lev al kol hatova asher asa Hashem leDavid avdo Yisrael amo. Le'oh haleihem min shahalchu matzu Hashem b'tahara. There was a nace. They went back to their tents, and their wives were all tahor. Smechim shenenu miziv hashchina. They benefited from the glory of the Shekhinah. V'tuvei lev shekol echad v'echad nisabri yishto b'ben zachar. They all had male children. Al kol hatoiva sheyatza baskol v'ramalam kulchem zomar l'chaylam haba. They were all told that they were invited to Olam Haba. LeDavid Avdo u'Yisrael Amo. Everything good that was done for David Avdo u'Yisrael Amo. Now what? Bishmal Yisrael Amo da'achel lehu Yom Kippur. I understand the good that was done for Klal Yisrael. They were forgiven for the avon of eating on Yom Kippur. El David Avdo Mahi. What do you mean? What's the good that was done for David Avdo? Areda Amar Abishasha Bike Shlomo Lachni Yisrael Lamigdash So we're going to see soon in the Navi Shir that after the Plishtim had taken possession of the Aron, they sent it back, and it was 20 years in Chavosia Arim. When David HaMelech is finally accepted as king, one of the first things he does is he brings the Aron to Ir David. It sat there for 37 years. And then finally, when Shlomo Melech builds the Beis HaMikdash, they bring the Aron into the Kodesh Kodashim. However, the Gemara now tells us when Shlomo Melech tried to bring the Aron, the gates wouldn't open. Amar Shlomo Esrei V'Arba Ranonis V'Lo Nana. He davened 24 davenings, and it didn't open. Pasuk V'Omer Su'usharim Roshechem V'Lo Nana. He said, Susharim, it still didn't answer. It didn't open. Kivin Shama Hashem Elokim Al Tashef Pnei Mashichecha Zakal Chazdei David Abdecha. Don't turn away the face of your anointed one. Remember the chesed of David. Miyad Nana. Immediately the gates opened and they could bring the Ornez. All the enemies of David, who all along claimed that he was an adulterer with Bathsheba, it was clear of Bathsheba that he had been forgiven. Rabbi Yonasan ben Asmoy, Rabbi Yehuda ben Gerim, Tonu Parshas Nadon, Bei Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai. Rabbi Yonasan and Rabbi Yehuda were darshaning Parshas Nadon by Rabbi Shimon. Iftar Minei Be'orsa. They left at night from his home, but let's suffer how to become Iftar Minei. They were going to go on their journey. So again, they came in the morning to say Shalom Aleichem to their Rebbe. Amar lo v'lav Iftar Minei Be'orta. So Rabbi Shimon said, you said goodbye to me last night. You taught us. A Talmud that said goodbye to his Rebbe but slept that night in the same city. He has to go again, say Shalom Aleichem to his Rebbe. Where do we see this from? Shneimar, Bayom Hashmini, Shilach Hasam, Vayvarchu Samelech. Shlomo sent the people away. Then, in another pasuk, in Divrei Hayomim, it says it was on the 23rd day that Shlomo Melech sent them away. Well, Shmini Atzeres is the 22nd day of Tishrei. So Mikan, so what happened is they said Shalom Aleichem to Shlomo the day before Shmini Atzeres, but they all slept that night in Yerushalayim. They didn't go home. Next morning, before they went home, they said goodbye to him again. Mikan l'tamid aniftam merabah v'lan b'osayir tzarich lipatim b'yeno pamacheres. Armalei livrei. Reb Shimon said to his son, "Wow, b'nei adam alol anoshim tzoltzurahim. These are big tamid chachamim. Zilga beim diluvarchucha. Go to them, let them give you a bracha. Also, so the son of Reb Shimon ben Yochai went. Ashkechina de karami kraya adadi. First, he heard them bring two psukim that were in contradiction with each other. Ksiv, Pales magal raglecha v'chot rechecha yikonu, in Mishlei. Ksiv orachayim pentafales. Person has to think very carefully. A mitzvah comes to his hand, he should do it right away. He shouldn't choose between mitzvah and mitzvah. But another pasuk implies, the first pasuk implies that you have to think. Palis magal raglacha. You have to think what you should do. And then the next, like, no, just do what comes in front of you. Loikasha depends. Kan b'mitzvah she'efshel lasos al-yedei acherim. If a mitzvah can be done by other people, so then you have to think, okay, this mitzvah I can do myself. Another mitzvah somebody else can do. So there you can think. But if the mitzvah nobody else can do, only you, then you have to do it right away. How do Yosef become a boile? They also were learning. Torah is more valuable than pearls. And all of your things are not comparable to it, meaning mitzvahs. Fine, personal assets cannot compare to Torah, but mitzvahs could. But that nothing compares to Torah, even mitzvahs. Again, a mitzvah that can be done by other people. A person who's learning Torah should learn Torah and let the other person do the mitzvah. If the mitzvah can't be done by so many people, then the Torah is chashuva not more than the cheftes shamayim. You have to do cheftes shamayim. Amrulay, my boy Sacha. So they all of a sudden they noticed that Rav Shimon ben Yochai's son is here. And they said, "What are you doing here?" Amrulu Damarli Abba. My father told me Zilga Bayo Delivrucha. They said he told me go to these Adam Gedolim to get a bracha. Okay, this was the bracha they gave. Amrulay, Yei Rava de Tizra v'lo Tefzat. You should plant but not harvest. Ta'ayil v'lo Tepuk. You should bring in but not take out. And Tepuk v'lo ta'ayil. You should take out and not bring in. Lichrov beischa v'lisvus ushpizucha. Your house should be destroyed, but your temporary dwelling should be inhabited. The balbel psoirach, your table should be confused. You shouldn't see a new year. So, when he came back to his father, not only didn't they bench me, they cursed me about Surit Surin. So Reb Shimon ben Yochai asked, what did they say to you? So Hachi v'Hachi Amr, this is what they said. So the son repeated everything to the father. The father said, it's all a bracha. So you should plant but not harvest. It means you should have children, they shouldn't die. You should bring in but not take out. You should bring in a lot of daughter-in-laws, and your sons should not die. You should give out and not bring in. Your daughter should give birth, and their husband shouldn't die. Your house should be destroyed, but your temporary dwelling should be blessed. This world is your hotel. The olam haba is Beisa. Therefore, he was mentioning that you should have wealth in this world. The balbel psaracha, your table should be confused. The banev nasa, you should have so many children, grandchildren, etc., that your table is noisy. You shouldn't have a new year. The lo tamus intach, your wife shouldn't die. V'lo tinsav insach, you have to marry another wife because, right? The Torah says you shouldn't go to war. That you should say shana achat with your wife. So that's the remez they gave him. Rabbi Shimon ben Chalafta iftu minei derab. Rav Shimon was departing from his Rebbe Rav. Amalei Avua, Zila Gabe delivered. Go to Rav to get a bracha. Amalei Rav de lo tavaish lo tizbayish. You should not embarrass somebody, and you should not be embarrassed. Asa Gabe Avua, he went to his father. Amalei, my Amalek, what did he say? Amalei, Milan Ba'amanu, this told me regular things. Amalei, no. Birkach berchasa debarchan kutshabruch Yisrael. Utanaba. No, this is a bracha that Kadosh Baruch Hu gave to Klai Yisrael, to Ksiv. V'achati machal v'sova, v'lo yavosha mila oilam, v'datem ki b'ker Yisraelani, v'lo yavosha mila oilam, a double that you shouldn't be mavayish. So the bracha of Rav is the bracha of Kadosh Baruch Hu. V'oisa isha takshite, a woman could do, cholamoid can put on makeup. Tan rabbanon, eloin takshite noshim. Kochelet, that's where she puts blue on her eyes. Pokeset, she takes off excess hair. Umavira strak al panesh, she puts red on her face. Viki damri mavira strak al panesh al mata. Other people say it's removing hair from her lower parts. Dvisud Rav Chizda mikashi banfei kalasa. The wife of Rav Chizda would put on makeup in front of her daughter-in-law. She had older children. Yosef Ravuna Barchina Kamed Rav Chizda v'Yosef Kamed Loshon Ali Yolda was Lo. When do we say that a woman on Chol Hamoed can put on makeup? That's a young woman, but an old woman, no. Amar Lo Elohim Afilu Ima. What do you mean? Even your mother, Afilu Ima, even your great grandmother. Every woman has dignity and wants to look nice. Afilu Menes Al Kiva, even if it's the day before burial. Damrin Shi Bashitin Kvat Shis. A 60-year-old woman is like a 60-year-old woman. Lekal Tavla Rata. Women are young no matter what age they are. And therefore, the din that they're allowed to put on makeup exists no matter what age they are. Rav Yehuda Amar Lo Tosud. Rav Yehuda said you can't put on lime to remove hair. Tanya, Rav Yehuda Amar Isha Lo Tosud. Because it makes her look ugly. Umoed Rav Yehuda Besid Shechol Kapla B'Moed Shetafalta B'Moed. The kind of line that you can take off right away that he permits. Shafal Pisha Mitzari Achshav Simcha Ilachazman. Even though it's painful now, it's happy later. Umiyas Lo Rav Yehuda Isfar. Does Rav Yehuda have that svar? But not Rav Yehuda Amar Nifroy Me'emet Nation Meitzer. Goyim, you're not allowed to give Goyim presents right before their holiday because they're going to be happy and they're going to go give a bracha to their avodah zarah. But there's a debate whether you can take payment from them. That means some say you can, some say you can't because even then they're happy that they don't have a debt. Even though he's upset now, he's happy afterwards because he doesn't have the debt. All the halachos of Chol Hamoed are painful now. Ravina Amar Nachri Leinin Piron Lo'ilo Meitzer. A Nachri never wants to pay back. Let's say a Jewish girl, she has hair, but not the age. She's not 12 years old. So it's embarrassing to her. So people try to remove the hair. Aniyos tofles oisam besid. Poor women would use lime. Ashiras tofles oisam besoilas. Wealthy women would use fine flour. Benois malachim princesses b'shemen amor. Shenamar by Esther Malka Shisha Chadosha b'shemen amor. My shemen amor Ravuna Barchi Amar stacht. Whatever that is. Rav Yirmiyah Baravi Amar shemen zaysh lo hevi shlish. Olive oil that's 1/3 ripe. Tara B'Omer on Pikyoin is shemen zaysh lo hevi shlish. Is olive oil that's 1/3 ripe. So why did they use it to anoint? Shemeser shashar, it takes away the hair. Ma'adin sabasar, it makes the skin look nice. Rav Bibi Havale Barta. Rav Bibi had a daughter, Tfela Aver would anoint each limb, and he got a big nadin, Shakal Barba Meazuzi. He was able to obtain a $400 for her kiddushin money. There was a non-Jew in that neighborhood also had a daughter, and saw that Rav Bibi got a big money. So Tafel b'chadzimna. So this goy did it in one shot, umes, and the girl died. And people would say, Amar Ktola Bibi lebarti. He would say, Bibi killed my daughter. Amar Rav Nachman Rav Bibi deshasi shichra. Bibi drank a lot of beer. Boy bante tafla. So the daughters would get hairy, and therefore would need to do this procedure. Anan de lo shasin shech. We don't drink beer. Lo ba'inin bante tifla. We don't have to do this processing for our daughters. Okay, I'm going to stop here. Tomorrow night we'll learn at 8 p.m.
Good job.
We'll also we'll finish the perek tomorrow night. Okay?
Ernie,
Shkoyach, thank you.
how you
Thank you.
feeling, Ernie?
Feel better.
I'm feeling better, thank God.
Go ahead. How's your mom doing?
My mom, thank God, her oxygen is doing much, much better. She's
Well, that's
not
good.
not eating. She doesn't want to, I'm sure she's not happy. We can't visit her. She's not happy being in the hospital. She's like refusing to eat. It's a problem. But it's a miracle regarding her lungs, her oxygen. She needed massive oxygen the next day. That she's on the very minimal oxygen. Thank God.
Wow, Baruch Hashem.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay. We'll tell everyone, Shkoyach.
Thank you. Have a good week, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.